யாதும் உரே யாவரும் கேடீர்.
செம்மொழி வலையொலி யூடியூப் சேனல். இந்த சேனலின் மூலமாக, அந்த வலையொலியின் மூலமாக பல்வேறு தகவல்களை தினந்தோறும் நாங்கள் வழங்கி கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த நிலையில் முழுமையாக கண்டு பார்க்கலாம்.
Though as an administrator, Ellis did full justice to his duties and responsibilities, what he really loved was the Tamil, and he was primarily interested in placing Tamil language and literature within the largest frame of comparative study, bringing in Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam and Sanskrit. It did not take him long to get an insight into the dialects of Tamil which pervade the whole of southern India, if not the whole country. As early as 1800, before Caldwell and Devanaya Pavanar had made their appearance, Ellis could write, "These dialects are so intimately connected that to obtain a perfect grammatical knowledge of one is to obtain a knowledge of all. A few partial derivations of phrase and idiom excepted, and this is so much the case that in translating Malabar into Gentoo, that is Tamil into Telugu, or the reverse, the position of a single word in 1,000 need not be changed." Tamil was considered by Ellis the principal dialect of southern India, the key to all the other dialects of southern India. That is what he says. He reserved the highest praise for Tamil literature. He says, "Tamil is scarcely exceeded by any language in the number and variety of its compositions, original and translated. In truth, a literary spirit always has been, and to the present day continues to be prevalent in southern India. Besides the poetical compositions, which those of the lighter sort especially here abound, we have recently seen works of considerable merit produced. There is evidence to believe that Ellis, as early as 1813, felt that Tamil deserves the classical status. In the first report of the Board of Superintendents of the College of Fort St. George, 4 courses of public study were proposed. The syllabus of the 3rd course is mentioned by Trotman with the following comment. The 3rd course, he says, would comprise the study of Oriental literature in general. Students had the choice of studying the grammar, prosody and rhetoric of Sanskrit, High Tamil, Arabic or Persian, and the literary works of these languages and of Telugu, Hindustani and so forth. The wording here is cryptic, but the idea seems to be that Tamil is grouped with Sanskrit, Arabic and Persian, and one studies the grammar, prosody and rhetoric of these 4 as a key to the literatures of other languages such as Telugu and Hindustani. These 4, we might say, although the report does not use the word, were treated as classical literatures that set the pattern for later literatures. A.C. Bernal, who edited and annotated Ellis's dissertation on Malayalam for the journal Indian Antiquary, convincingly contends that Ellis is one of the founding fathers of the discipline called comparative philology. Bernal says The above dissertation on Malayalam by Ellis is of remarkable historical interest, for taken with the essay on Telugu, it proves that before 1816, Mr. Ellis had already foreseen the possibility of comparative philology, not only as regards the so-called Aryan tongues, but also in respect of the Dravidian. Now it was not till 1816, as Brunner says, and I must take his assertion, for I cannot refer to the original, that Bob published his conjugations system, which was the beginning of comparative philology in Europe. Ellis could, considering the means of intercourse available in those days, could hardly have seen or heard of this work at all, for he died early in 1819. He must then in future be considered one of the originators of one of the most remarkable advances in science in this century. His unfortunate end, he was poisoned by accident, prevented his doing much, for he was only 40 when he died. But he cannot be robbed of his due fame by the success of others more lucky than he was. Such a statement by A.C. Bernal testifies to the remarkable pioneering work done by Ellis in linguistics, for which he deserves international recognition. Again, as early as 1816, Ellis listed the Indian languages with which Sanskrit had no radical connection. He says, high and low Tamil, Telugu grammatical and vulgar, Kannada ancient and modern, Malayalam, which is also divided into a higher and lower register, the higher one containing many Sanskrit terms and forms, and Tuluva of the Kannada country on the west coast of the peninsula. Besides these, there are a few local dialects such as Kodagu, a variation of Tuluva and spoken in Coorg district, Sinhalese, Marathi and Oriya, which though not of the same stock, borrow many of the words and idioms from these tongues. The language of the mountaineers of Rajmahal, which abounds in terms common to the Tamil and Telugu. Reproducing this list, Trotman observes that Ellis's identification of Malto, the language of Rajmahal spoken in the Ganges basin, as a member of the Dravidian family was very acute, and that the inclusions and exclusions Ellis states here are fully in accordance with current expert opinion nearly 2 centuries after his piece was published. The one book for which Ellis has to be gratefully remembered by the Tamils is his commentary on Tirukkural, published about the year 1819, filling 304 quarto pages without title or date. A marvelous fragment, though running to 300 odd pages, it includes his English renderings of a few couplets chosen from the first 13 chapters of the monumental work by Thiruvalluvar. In it, a free metrical version is given of each couplet, followed by a critical analysis of the text, and the subject matter is then illustrated by numerous quotations from the best native writers, interspersed with valuable notes and discussions on the mythology, philosophical systems and sectorial tenets of the people. If Ellis's translation is arguably one of the best, his comments on the couplets witness to his profound scholarship and keen critical acumen. The very list of works he cites is intimidating. These are the classics in Tamil which he mentions: Tolkappiyam, Purananuru, Naladiyar, நான்மணிக்கடிகை, பழமொழி, ஏலாதி, சிறுபஞ்சமூலம், இன்னா 40, இனியவை 40, அறநெறிச்சாரம், ஆசாரக்கோவை, திருமந்திரம், திருவாய்மொழி, திருவாசகம், சீவக சிந்தாமணி, கம்பராமாயணம், ஏர் 70, வளையாபதி, சூடாமணி, நல்லாப்பிள்ளை பாரதம், பெருந்தேவனார் பாரதம், சிவவாக்கியம், தேம்பாவணி, தொன்னூல் விளக்கம், நைடதம், நீதிநெறி விளக்கம், தண்டலையார் சதகம், கோவிந்த சதகம், இரங்கேச வெண்பா, சிவசிவ வெண்பா, பிரபுலிங்க லீலை, மூதுரை, நன்னெறி and நல்வழி. And one would realize what an indefatigable reader he was if one remembers that almost all these works were available during his time only in manuscript, that he has diligently gone through all the available manuscripts of every work that he quotes is evident from the fact that in his notes he lists all the alternate readings of the pieces. For example, in his commentary on the chapter called Gratitude, he quotes the Purananuru piece on Killi Valavan by Alandur Kirar as given below. ஆண்முலை அறுத்த அறநில்லோர்க்கும் மானிழை மகளிர் கருச்சிதைத்தோர்க்கும் குறவர் தப்பிய கொடுமையோர்க்கும் வழுவாய் மருங்கில் கழுவாயும் உள. And it translates the first 3 lines. Those who have cut off the dugs of a cow or have destroyed the fetus in the wombs of jewel-bedecked women or behaved harshly towards religious instructors. In his notes he points out that Parpar Tappiya Kodumayorkum is another version of the 3rd line. It is to be noted that Saminatha Iyer's edition of Purananuru mentions only Parpar Tappiya but not Kuravar Tappiya. Commenting on the stanzas of the first chapter of Tirukkural in praise of God, Ellis quotes as parallel passages some of the best poems from Thiruvaimozhi, Thiruvasagam and Sivavakyam, and adds a scholarly note on the distinct nature of each of the 3 great writings. He says, the work from which the first extracts are taken is the main of those in the Tamil language on which the tenets of the modern Vaishnava or Visishtadvaita sect is founded. In that to which the second belongs, the Advaita principles are maintained. The metaphysics of these sects are as opposite as those of Priestley and Berkeley, but however different in their philosophical opinions, their religious belief and practice, which they both derive from the Veda, is nearly the same. Ellis means that if Visishtadvaita is indebted to Alvar's poems, Advaita derives from Nayanmar's writings. These are conclusions which the accrued scholarship on Tamil Bhakti literature would now approve of. His estimate of Sivavakya's magnum opus is equally illuminating. About Sivavakya he says, the author of their work, the title of which signifies a discourse on God, Sivavakyam, eschews alike the figurative mythology of the Puranas and the mystical philosophy of the Upanishads and the Agamas, denies the efficacy of all religious ceremonies, whether prescribed by the Smritis or invented in more recent times, derives the notion that the Almighty could have made an inherent difference in his creatures, and finally, with the doctrine of the metempsychosis, rejects most of the dogmas believed by the various sects of Hindus. The illustrative examples he quotes from Sivavakyam include the following stanza: Ariyumalla அரணுமல்ல அயனுமல்ல அப்புறம் கருமை வெண்மை செம்மையும் கடந்து நின்ற காரணம் பெரியதல்ல சிறியதல்ல பெண்ணும் ஆணும் அல்லவே துரியமும் கடந்து நின்ற தூர தூர தூரமே, which is exquisitely rendered in English by him as it is not Ari, it is not Aran, it is not iron, far beyond the black, the color of Vishnu, the white, the color of Shivan, or the red, the color of Brahma, so is the everlasting cause. It is not great, it is not small, neither is it male nor female. Beyond every state of corporeal being, it is farther, farther and farther still. All this is spectacular testimony to ELLIS's proper understanding of the Tamil text and of the diverse Hindu sects. Examining P.Marudhanayagam's exposition of the Sankhya school in his interpretation of the couplet சுவை ஒளி ஊறு ஓசை நாற்றம் என்று ஐந்தின் வகைதறிவான் கட்டே உலகு, Ellis observes, this is the doctrine taught originally by Kapila Maharishi, but according to Patanjali, the founder of the school named after him, which is a reformation of the Sankhya tenets, notion proceeded from the operation of spirit on primitive matter, by which active nature, the immediate cause of creation, was produced. The whole reasoning of both these schools, it will be observed, rests on the assumption which has obscured the philosophy of all ages. The matter is essentially homogeneous, that there is a substance into which all other substances are resolvable. The inductive inquisition of the moderns has proved the reverse of this and shown that what was previously mistaken for simple is compound, and it must be admitted, in opposition to the subtlest deductions, that all reasoning as to the material origination of the universe must, if true, coincide with the results of experimental science, before the light of which all the theories fade to nothing. This is indicative of his close examination of the ancient schools of Indian philosophy. Indian mythology is not left untouched by Ellis, though its vastness and intricacies are beyond the reach of many Indian scholars themselves. The Kural in praise of ascetics, ஐந்தவித்தான் ஆற்றல் அகல் விசும்புளார் கோமான் இந்திரனே சாலும் கரி. Let Indra be the witness for the strength of one that has subdued one's senses. This couplet is a hard nut to crack because of the allusion to Indra's intrigue with Ahalya, wife of the sage Gautaman. Identifying the story as the one narrated at length in the 38th and 39th sections of the Balakandam or first book of the Ramayanam of Valmiki, and with some variation in the 9th section of the same Kandam of the Ramayanam of Kamban. He mentions the two different interpretations of the passage by P.Marudhanayagam and the Jains. He says, according to the Tamil commentator, Indra, not having gained any control over his senses, was made to know the power of the sage whose senses were subdued, and hence is himself a sufficient witness. But Kaviraya Pandithan's stance is diametrically opposed to this, as it presents Indra as an exemplary being who has renounced all sensuous pleasures. In his view, Devendran, the king of all the gods, inhabiting the celestial world, is himself the witness of the power of the person who restrains his senses from straying into the path of carnal desire. Accounting for the difference, Ellis adds that the Jains do not admit that a devotee possesses or would exert the malignant power ascribed to the imprecation of Gaudaman, and that in their view Valluvar could not intend to include under the term Neethar or Thuravor any person who, like this sage, was still in the state of marriage. Instances of this nature can be multiplied ad infinitum to show that Ellis has brought to bear upon his incomplete translation done as early as 1812 a scholarship impressively wide-ranging and a knowledge of Tamil literature incredibly profound. G.U. Pope, who handed over Ellis' papers to the Bodleian Library in Oxford, felt that Ellis's texts, being often incorrect, had not had the benefit of careful revision. But R.E. Asher, in his notes on F.W. Ellis and an unpublished fragment of his commentary on Tirukkural, presents the text and the translation of some of the Kurals with the Pope's version by way of comparison, and concludes that more careful revision might have improved some of Ellis's translations, but on the whole his translations read better than Pope's. In all the three areas of linguistics, translation and literary criticism, Ellis's work is impressive as the work of a pioneer of great historical importance. But what is remarkable is that it could rise to the level of a model for all future generations of linguists, translators and scholars to follow with admiration and reverence. In fact, he has proved to be a mighty challenge to the later translators of Tirukkural. It is the duty of Tamil scholars to recognize the value of his service to their community, language and literature, and to project him as one of the best of our cultural ambassadors the West has gifted to us. Thank you.